Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, deputy ministers. Members, can we start our meeting? First of all, let me welcome all of you here and declare this meeting officially open. And what we'll do, we'll give our secretary to deal with issues of apologies. Secretary, can you just tell us who's here and not here?
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Chair. Good morning to honorable members, deputy ministers, and everyone here. There's an apology from Ms. A. Mujecha, Ms. Kumbuzo Chaveni, Ms. T. Priet, and Mr. Shelembe. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Secretary. Can we just deal with the protocols before we raise hands, honorable members? I propose we adopt the agenda. The agenda is flighted, honorable members, and also the hard copies have been distributed. We have on the agenda we have the briefing by the NCACC on its 2025 annual report. We have the feedback on outstanding NCACC response to the committee. We have the briefing of the SNDF on its state of preparedness for domestic deployment with the SAPS. There's number 6 is a briefing on the outstanding payments and deployment allowance due to the SNDF members, consideration of the outstanding minutes and closure. Can you adopt the agenda, Honorable Gotsen? No, Honorable Gotsen.
Chair, I think we need to deal with the issue of apologies. This meeting was scheduled from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock today, specifically for the reason that this committee has asked the Minister in the Presidency and the Chairperson of the NCACC to be here in person. The issue of the Minister's in-person appearance was raised with you yesterday. There were emails between the Minister in the Presidency's office and this committee's staff, wherein it was alleged that they did not know that this meeting was going to be in person. It was pointed out that the meeting will be in person. And by yesterday afternoon, I specifically on our WhatsApp group asked you whether the Minister will be here in person, and you said there is nothing that indicates that she will not be here in person. But I then screenshot the email from the Minister's office, I put it on the group, and I alerted you to the fact that she now all of a sudden says that she is in Gauteng and may not be able to be here, but she will be here virtually. And I then also took the liberty of showing you that there were flights available yesterday afternoon that showed that the Minister would be able to be here this morning. So I don't think an apology will suffice. And before we accept or adopt this agenda, which is the agenda that was agreed to by this committee for a specific reason, until we know exactly what the reason is for the Minister not being here today, we cannot adopt the agenda. We cannot adopt the agenda.
Thank you, Chair. I concur with everything that the Honourable Gotzel had said about the engagements that we had, that the Minister ought to be here physically. The apology that we received from the administration just says the Minister has an apology. That's not adequate, Chair. We need to know what the apology of the Minister is. Why am I saying this? Because the issue of this apology and the absence of the Minister, despite very clear indications that the Minister should be here physically, impacts on item 3 of the agenda, briefing by the NCACC on its 2025 annual report. From my side, I'm also not prepared to propose adoption of the agenda until this matter is cleared and until we can take a clear decision on whether we actually can proceed with item 3 in the absence of the Minister. And Chair, let me just take a red herring out of the situation immediately. I understand that there had been an error in good faith by our administration at one point of correspondence where at the top of the notice of the meeting it said virtual. That was quite some time ago. But the body of the invitation indicated very clearly that the Minister is expected to be here physically. I believe that there had been further correspondence, because that's what you made us to believe, Chair, to make sure that the Minister understands that this meeting is going to be physical and that she needs to be here physical. In addition to everything else, I also think we need to get from the administration the exact correspondence that was forwarded to the Minister, because my understanding from our engagements in this meeting was very clear. We want the Minister here physically. In fact, Chair, let me clarify you further. We didn't just say we want the Minister here physically. We said we want to have as many members of the board possible physically. In fact, you will recall from the minutes of the last meeting, I said I would like to see all of the members of the board physically here. And then, if I believe correctly, it was Mr. Hutton who said, of course, that will be the first prize. But under the circumstances, that may not be possible. So let's say we want to see as many of them as possible here. Now, Chair, therefore, there was a clear bona fide understanding without any confusion that the invitation goes out to the Minister and the whole board. And if there are other members of the board who could not attend, we ought to have received also apologies from them. Where I sit, the absence of the Minister this morning is nothing else but deliberate, malicious non-compliance on the clear indication that we gave to the Minister that we believe it's essential for the briefing of the NCACC on its 2025 annual report for her to be present physically in this meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Nihas. Honorable Harding. Honorable Harding, then I'll come to you, Honorable Plages. What's the point of order, Honorable Plages?
Chair, what we are doing now, I don't know, was it a mistake or omission from your side to deal with apologies before we adopt the agenda? Because apologies are on the agenda, and we are discussing it now while you have asked for the adoption of the agenda. I'm confused because we are discussing apologies now, which is an agenda point on the agenda that we have, and we are in the apologies already. So I don't know if we adopted the agenda, because there's also a matter that say we are not adopting the agenda, but we are discussing apologies on the agenda. So I'm getting confused, Chair.
Okay. Let me proceed there. Let me give Honorable Harding. Honorable Harding.
That's it. Yeah, we actually at the point where we decide whether this agenda that we have here can be accepted, and I think the point was made. Chair, I think the issue goes much deeper that was put on to the table by Honourable Niels and Honourable Gotzel. We have a history, a well-established history of a minister who defies accountability. That defiance has already made its way to the Ethics Committee of Parliament, who ruled on it. It made its way to the High Court, and it is at the Public Protector. That's the history. A long, well-established history of defiance of the oversight of this committee and of Parliament. Chair, and what makes this actually worse is that everybody in this committee predicted when we had the meeting 2 weeks ago that the minister will not be here. Her defiance has become predictable, and she plays exactly into that what is expected of her. And Chair, this cannot be tolerated. It cannot continue, allowed to continue in this fashion. It's a very serious issue. If we see the correspondence that we had insight to, the arrogance displayed and the disdain that is explained for this committee and for oversight by this minister. It cannot continue, Chair. We have had the AMD presentation with critical issues in it. The minister should have been there. We then went and asked for the minister to respond on the AMD presentation. Nothing is forthcoming. Chair, this is a serious issue, and perhaps it has moved beyond this committee at this stage. Chair, I think we have to make a rule. We cannot accept this agenda where we actually need the minister to be here. And now we accept, by accepting the agenda as proposed, we accept to continue while knowing everything that I've just said. It's unacceptable, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Harding. Honourable Ayharik.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to the colleagues. If I look at just a couple of points. If I look at the agenda, the first point is opening and welcoming. There is no point on the agenda for the acceptance of the agenda. No point here. So we don't need to accept the agenda because there's no point on it, first and foremost. Secondly, we are dealing with administrative issues around apologies. Because it's important for us, this committee has accepted or taken a resolution that the minister must be here and as many as possible members of the board of the NCACC. So unless we have clarity on those type of issues, we cannot, I support my colleagues, we cannot accept the agenda. Further to this is the fact that I understand, and in my discussion with you and with other colleagues yesterday, there are confidential items on here. In other words, the meeting will become closed at one point or the other. It means then that you cannot allow somebody on a virtual platform when we deal, whether it be a minister or a deputy minister or DG, you cannot allow somebody to deal with confidential issues on a virtual platform because the issues should be discussed in a closed session. This is the issue, and I want you to confirm to us which items will be confidential, and if those items include the minister, then we cannot deal with those items now. We need to defer, not postpone. We then need to defer this meeting to another time so that the minister be present. Lastly, with all due respect to the deputy ministers, they are here, and you may submit that the deputy ministers are here, and they can then answer on those. We haven't had clarity. I just had a formal chat with the deputy minister Bantu Olomisa, I asked him whether the issue of delegations of power has been sorted out already. What delegations do they act upon? He said, no, it has not been sorted out. So unless these ministers, the deputy ministers, have delegations of power, in other words, where they can speak on authority of issues, we cannot deal with the issue. If the deputy ministers can tell us here this morning and show us in writing that they have a delegation to speak on the NCAC issues, then it's fine. Then we can proceed. But in the absence of a delegation, whatever the deputy ministers will say and whatever who will say will not stand in a court of law. It will be unlawful, and it will be unlawful decisions. That's my submission. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable. Noah?
Thank you, Chair. I want to appeal to my colleagues to not conflate issues. It's either we're dealing with the apology of the minister as it is, her presence and absence. But to bring in the absence of the minister, to bring in the issue of the items on the agenda, these matters are ours as a committee. But as to how do we engage with them, it's another issue. Because we cannot say we don't, this agenda, we don't adopt it. The absence of the minister cannot say we don't adopt the minister. Secondly, it's not only NCACC that is on the agenda. It's also SANDF. So we can't just throw away the agenda just because the minister is not here. So let us deal with issues in the right way, maturely, understanding what we are talking about. For that matter, Honorable Gerrie has already went far as addressing the issue of the presence of the deputy minister. I mean, it's like we are already at war. So let us be cool and let's get the response that are necessary, and then we take a decision. You don't just raise an issue, answer yourself, and take a decision. No, it doesn't work that way. So we heard that the honorable members, and we agree, the minister is not here, and the minister is supposed to be here. So let's first get the reasons of her absence, whether we accept them or we don't accept them. So what is the point of asking? No, Comrade Gerrie, it's not right what you, comrades, you are doing. When you were talking, no hands was up, Chair. This disrespectful. We keep quiet, we don't raise hands until honorable members are done with what they are saying. So it doesn't matter, even if you don't agree with me,
Chair,
but don't
I'm
show me
entitled to raise my
disrespect.
hand, and I'm also entitled to raise a point of order, and the Honourable Noah will not chair this meeting.
Members, let's be orderly,
Yeah,
please.
no, you are
okay.
disrespectful, guys,
not-
man.
no,
you
no,
are
no.
not so better on what you are saying.
No.
You are
Honourable
not so
members,
clever on what you are saying.
Honourable
I'm
member-
talking my input, and it's either you listen.
honourable members, can
Yeah.
we
Can you drop your
be
hand?
orderly, please?
Can you
we be
drop your
orderly?
hand?
Yes. Okay.
You will misbehave when you talk also.
Can you conclude, Honourable Noah? Can you conclude, Honourable Noah?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm saying,
Member conclude.
Chair, let's deal with the absence of the minister first. Let's get the reasons behind the absence of the minister. Not what we knew, what we heard. Let's hear it here. Because we are not privy to what Honorable Hatang has said and everybody else. We are not there. What will suffice is what we hear in the meeting. So let's get the reasons why the minister is not here, either admin or either the department. Then we can deal with it.
Thank you, Honourable Noah. Honourable Plugis, you raised your hands first, and I'll come to you. Then we conclude on this matter, honourable members.
And I've patiently waited for you to recognize me. For the decorum of this meeting, Chair, it is important that we be willing to listen to one another, even if you feel that I'm talking something that you are not agreeing with. We've been waiting. Chair, as I've asked the question, yes, agenda before us. the agenda is having a point that we don't feel that somebody else must carry this point than the chairperson of the committee. My suggestion will then be, let's take off the point of the agenda. Adopt the agenda as is so that we can go on with our business in the absence of the chairperson. Because like, he's not minister. There's a lot of ministers that are serving on that board. And let's go to the chairperson. We wanted the chairperson here. The chairperson is not here, so apologize. That's why I was asking Chair from the beginning, are we already discussing apologies so that we adopt the agenda with exclusion, because we've heard now that the chairperson is not here. If this committee, and that is in their right to say that we don't want to deal with point number 3 today because of the absence of the chair, we make that suggestion and we take off the point instead of lambasting on other matters here, and then we discuss in the apologies what we do with the absence of the chairperson. But now we are talking a lot of things without adopting this agenda. So, Chair, I will move that if there's a problem with point number 3, we take it off, we scratch it from the agenda, we then adopt the agenda so that we can start the meeting. In the apologies, we'll hear why the minister is not here and we make a decision on it. And that is what I'm saying, Chair. I'll move for us to adopt the agenda. If there's a point that must be get out, we propose it as such and we take it off.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Kwasa.
Chair, yes, I think
let's
in
be
the,
short on
in
on
the
this
interest
matter
of
so that we can-
expedience,
we
I
can
would
move on.
support what Honourable Plaatje has said on the proviso, of course, that we then do deal with the apologies and that we do not proceed with item 3 until such time as we've decided how we're going to deal with the absence of the minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Carl and Honorable Khalid, and please be short on this matter, Honorable.
Yes,
Member.
Chair. We're obviously discussing the apologies because it impacts on point 3. Just to help the Honourable Plaatjes to understand that procedure.
You are not helping me.
Secondly, Chair, I'm prepared to accept and second adoption of the agenda, but only if item 3 is removed from the agenda. And that is on the basis that we cannot have this item without the presence of the minister. Full stop. Thank you.
Honorable Khalid?
Yeah,
And
Chairperson.
you're the last on this matter,
Yeah.
huh?
Chairperson, let me raise the issue. We have raised fundamental issues, and we have the right. We have the right to raise fundamental issues in this meeting. No personal attack or no insult will deter us from raising our points. Raising your voice.
Can you focus on the
It's
issues?
not, I'm focusing on the agenda, sir. Please, we are speaking to the ANC and their text. We say that we have asked a question with regard to the apology of the minister. If we have clarity on that, we can proceed. We agree, we are in agreement. But in the absence of the minister to proceed with point 3, you must pronounce and say what are we going to do, then we will decide our way forward. Thank you.
Then, thank you, Honorable
Chair,
Members.
sorry, on a point of clarification, I made a mistake. Both items 3 and 4 should be removed from the agenda.
Honorable Members, I think we are spoken. Deputy Minister, you want to deliberate on the same matter of the Minister? Of the.
Point of order, sir. The deputy minister cannot propose, he's not part of this committee. Sorry, thank you.
Honorable Members, I want to rule on this matter, and Honorable Noah, you'll be the last on this one, please.
Chair, we cannot move to issue of removing the items proposed before we hear the reasons or about the absence of the minister. It must be recorded why she is not here, so that we can then follow up on the reasons. We don't just, because we are angry or she has been doing it. This is a different date and time. Let's hear what the reasons which were advanced.
Members, Honorable Hala,
Yes, I do support you.
You support
Chair, let's
Thank-
get the reasons why the minister is not here, then you close it.
Thank you very much. Secretary, do you want to?
The letter of the minister reads that we received a meeting notice on Sunday specifying that the proceeding will take place via a virtual platform. My office accordingly aligned my schedule based on this official notification to ensure my full participation. Since then, this office did not receive any notice changing or correcting the meeting platform to physical. That's the reason.
Chair, then can you, Chair, through you, can then you explain what then happened ultimately after that correspondence? What did you do?
There were two letters that were sent to the office of the chairperson of the NCACC. Both letters stated that the meeting would be physical. And the email that had the notice, which had an error that said virtual meeting, I included on the body of the email that it is an error, the meeting will take place physically. And I didn't receive anything after that.
Thank you, thank you. I think the matter is clarified. Members, can we have can we adopt the agenda, members? I propose that we have we adopt the agenda and we proceed with the meeting. I think the popular motion here is that we need to remove item number 3 and number 4. That is the popular view here. But can we then move for the adoption of the agenda?
No,
Chair.
order, sir. Please, order.
Chair, just for clarity, I want to move for adoption. Is your proposal that we adopt the agenda, removing items 3 and 4? Is that your proposal?
That is the popular view, members. Honorable Harding.
So I move then, Chair, that we adopt the agenda, removing items 3 and 4.
Honorable Harding.
Chair, I have a different opinion to Honourable Niels. I would support the removal of items number 3 and 4, but then the addition of a new item where this committee discuss the continued absence of the chairperson of the NCACC. Additional item.
I will back that, Chair.
Honorable Blagis, can we then conclude on this matter? Honorable Blagis.
Chair, I will want us to, from out of the apologies, to discuss that matter and then move to the rest. So I will move an adoption for the agenda. But let us not add the point. Let's move from the apologies and discuss that matter.
Thank you. I think members, Honorable Noe, I think you are the last now on this one.
I second Blackies, and also by saying, Chair, I just want to also caution members that we should not disrupt our work and our responsibility and oversight just because the minister or a accounting officer on issues that we are dealing with, therefore we should just throw them out of the window. We still have the responsibility. And secondly, we are aware that the deputy minister, who is also a member of the board, is within us. And I don't think it will harm any one of us. We are one thing at the end of the day. We are responsible to the election. And efforts have been made, and money has been spent, time has been spent. It is also proper to, and this is my suggestion, that we give a hearing to the deputy minister, who is also a member of the board, from him, what is it that he is caring for us in the absence of the minister, so that we take everything else sensibly and reasonably into account. I'm sure we are matured. We've been elected here to come and deal with matters with clear minds and clear sense, so that we arrive at proper conclusions on each and every matter, not by emotions. Thank you, Chair.
Chairperson, can I raise a point of order, please? That's my last point.
Honourable members will not conclude
No.
conclude on this.
Can
on
I
this
just
matter. Otherwise,
raise-
we'll be just moving
No, it's
on,
fine.
on
In circles,
cycles.
yes, I agree with you.
Um,
The point that I want to submit is the following. We have exhausted the point of apologies. We've heard from Madam Nandipa the correspondence back and forth. It is on the record now. And then that's the first point. The second point is it's not about the deputy minister or anybody else. It's about the resolution that this committee has taken. The committee has taken a resolution together with you, comrades, that we say the minister must be present. It means now that we cannot come here and contradict the decisions, the resolutions that we have taken. And thirdly and lastly, Chairperson, the minister cannot abdicate her responsibility to the deputy ministers all the time if this decision has been taken by this committee. Thank you.
Chair, point of order.
No,
There is,
members-
Chair, there's a proposal on the table with the amendment that has been brought by Mr. Hutton. And I'm proposing that we now deal with the motion of adoption.
You're disrupting now. I mean, you just moaned about the same thing.
Honourable members,
I'm making, I'm seconding the amended motion proposed by Honourable Hutton. Chair, you have to deal with that in terms of meeting procedure. And you need to rule on the disorderly behavior of the Honourable Noah. The Honourable Noah is disorderly. Chair, and I need you to rule on that, and I need you to deal with the meeting procedure. They've got a proposal for adoption on the table by myself as amended by Mr. Hutton, and I'm now asking you to rule on that, Chair.
members, can you be orderly, please? Can you be orderly, please? Members, I'm going to rule on this matter now, so that we proceed with our meeting.
Chair, you must not make us, if this meeting is some people's meeting.
No. It's not some people's meeting. Can we proceed, members?
Be unruly. I'm telling you, Chair, it's not some people's meeting, this one. It's our meeting. You raise your hand, you wait, then you acknowledge you, and then we are doing this thing.
Okay, let's proceed. We hear you, members. I'm going to rule on this matter. On members, the overall the popular view is that we adopt the agenda with the removal of items 3 and 4. So let's have the second, honourable members, of the agenda with the amendment of the agenda. Can we have the second?
Chair, I would like to second, but Mr. Hutton made a proposal which I supported because it's a good proposal. And that is that we discuss the absence of the minister in a further item on the agenda, which will also allow us, Chair, to deal with a concern that Mr. Noah raised about the minister's absence, because we will find then a formula on how to bring the minister here in front of this committee, whether we eventually are going to bring her here by summons or whatever, but that we will discuss in the further additional point on the agenda, and that should be added in addition to the removal of items 3 and 4. That is the proposal that's on the table, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, you are going to be the last, and I'll give the minister an opportunity, then we proceed.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. No, I was going to say, Chair, let's give Honorable Nell a space to speak. Otherwise, we're not going anywhere in this.
Thank you. Honourable Minister, Deputy Minister, thank you.
Chairperson and honourable members, thank you very much. It's not my intention to intrude into the internal affairs of the committee. Committee has taken certain decisions. It's the prerogative of the committee to regulate and to conduct its own affairs in terms of the rules of Parliament. However, I do think it is appropriate to point out that Deputy Minister Holomisa and I are not here as deputy ministers. We are here as members of the National Conventional Arms Control Committee, appointed by the President of the Republic, and we function in terms of the Conventional Arms Control Act. The President furthermore appointed me as the Deputy Chairperson of NCACC. Therefore, I discharge my duties and responsibilities with original powers that emanate from the Act. Neither Deputy Minister Holomisa and I require any delegation in order to fulfill our powers and functions and responsibilities. However, it is the prerogative of the committee to hear whoever they would want to, and if the committee doesn't want to hear us, I think that's the committee's decision. But we would want it to be formally recorded and minuted that the committee has submitted its reports and that the Honourable Holomisa and I are here ready to present those reports and to engage with the committee, whether the committee chooses to or not. Thank you.
Chair, on a point of order.
Thank you. No,
No, Chair. I can't accept that Deputy Minister Nel says he has already submitted the
Honourable members,
reports. He hasn't. The reports are only tabled once he's spoken to them. And we have not accepted that 3 and 4 will be on the agenda.
Honourable members, no, man.
You have made the ruling.
Point of order, Chair.
Can you proceed, members, please? Can you stop interfering in or intervening in? Thank you, honourable members. We've heard what the honourable the deputy chair of the committee has said. The deputy chair, I think, and the deputy minister Holomisa, we have heard the committee members. We have discussed thoroughly on the absence of the minister. And we can also hear that they want the continuation of the absence of the minister be a subject of discussion. And we'll discuss that matter, I think, towards the last of our. So what we'll do, we're going to excuse you, Deputy Minister. The deputy chair of the committee. Next week, honourable members, we were supposed to have a meeting with the Defence Force next week. But you have seen the letter which has been submitted to us that we cannot have a meeting next week with the SNDF. So we are going to propose that this item be discussed. We'll request the minister to be here next week. We'll see the availability, and we'll request Deputy Minister Nel will request the majority of members of the committee to be present. With that, honourable members, we are going to release you, honourable members. You have heard what the members are concerned about, and we'll further communicate with your office to see whether we can have a meeting next week. So with those members, thank you very much. Members, then our agenda, while we're waiting for the minister to leave the session.
I'm a civilian, so I'm leaving. He's not a civilian. He's
Chairperson, Chair.
Are you now here with your hat as Deputy Minister?
Chair, if I may.
Thank you, honourable members.
Chairperson, if I may, I accept the ruling. I just want to make sure that as a committee and in terms of administration, seeing as previously we were very clear on the same issue, yet here we are today in the same with the same problem, could we please ask then that the chairperson of the NCACC be informed today in writing, that we be copied, and that she please be asked to confirm because as committee members,
Out of order. You said
No, no.
this matter will be discussed at the end of the agenda. That pertains to the minister. But he's bringing it again now.
Yeah, well, let's
It's
discuss
out
it at
of
the end
order.
of the. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Members, let's proceed with our meeting. First of all, members, let's start by introducing ourselves. Yeah, no, this is a problem, eh? Members, I'm going to let's introduce ourselves. I'm Peter Pala, the co-chair of the committee. And let's introduce yourself, members, to. Let's start with you, Honorable Ekhari.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you for your fairness. My name is Virgil Gericke. I'm a member of the EFF deployed by the Western Cape to this committee. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. After we all almost had already a bite at the cherry, we come in with introductions. But my name is Carl Niehaus, and I'm a member of the Economic Freedom Fighters representing the EFF on this Joint Standing Committee on Defence and also the Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans.
Thank you, Honorable Artin.
Morning, Chair. Chris Otto, member of the Joint Standing Committee on Defence.
Thank you, Honorable Gordon.
morning, Chair Nicholas Gotzel, member of the Joint Standing Committee on Defence and Select Committee on Security and Justice.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, colleagues. My name is Lisa Schickling. I'm member of the Police Portfolio Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Blagis.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Windy Plagis, serving on both committees of defense.
Thank you, Honorable. No. Allah.
Good morning, colleagues. Allah is my name, member of this committee.
Thank you, Honorable Noah. Can we proceed, members?
Chair, my name is Peter Noe. I am serving on the Joint Standing Committee on Defence. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, honorable members. We have our staff support here, starting with our secretary, committee secretary.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. I'm Nandi Pamakrekwana, the committee secretary.
Thank you, Doc.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honourable members. Dr. Raymond Stenkam Fonseca, committee researcher.
Thank you. Deputy Minister Hulmisa, we are going to hand over to you to introduce the members who are here.
Thank you, Chairperson and honorable members. Accompanying me here is the Secretary, Acting Secretary for Defense, as well as the Chief of Joint Operations, General Sangweni. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. Members, we have taken so much time on the issue of the agenda, the issue of the apology. We are going to move straight into the issues. We are here, Deputy Minister and the Secretary. We welcome all of you here. We will engage with the South African National Defence Force regarding its upcoming deployment in support of the South African Police Service. This meeting is important for the committee to assess the level of preparedness of the SNDF for this deployment. In particular, we would like to understand the extent of the mission-specific training that has been undertaken, as well as the status of planned mission-specific code of conduct that will guide members during the deployment. Deputy Minister, we are looking forward to receiving this comprehensive, informative briefings from the SNDF, and we trust that the deployment will be implemented in a professional and a well-coordinated manner. We will, as well, would like also to extend our warm welcome to the members of the Portfolio Committee on Police. Unfortunately, you are alone, and we invited the almost the entire committee. We expected them to be here so that they can hear from the defense, as we heard from the police in our last meeting, Honorable Member. We welcome you. The joint deployment of the SNDF and the SAPS require Parliament's relevant committees to work together to ensure thorough and effective oversight. Your presence today is honorable, is therefore both timely and valuable, and we appreciate your participation. Secondly, the committee will engage with, okay, no, that one, we leave it. Let's members go straight into the issues. Our agenda, as you have it, is to have a briefing by the SNDF on its state of preparedness and for domestic deployment with the SAPS. Honorable Deputy Minister, we are going to hand over to you to introduce who's going to present this item. Thank you very much.
Chairperson, without delaying the program, I will immediately hand over to General Sangweni, who is going to lead us in this presentation. Over to you, General.
Yeah, you can proceed, Chandra.
Good morning, Chairperson and members of the committee, Deputy Minister of Defense, Secretary of Defense. Please allow me to tender an apology. My Chief of Staff, who is my second line boss, I think he's stuck in the traffic. We both were coming from Pretoria this morning. We had actually planned to bring in the generals who are responsible for this deployment. With the change of program, boss, we were told we'd be right at the end. So apologies, Chair, on that one. However, I will continue with the presentation. I'm not sure whether I use this or my mind or what is on the screen.
All right, do you have a Bluetooth?
Okay. This is a bigger one. Okay. Yes, it's awesome. Still running through. It goes in because it's.
I think the honourable members, let's give the general to present from this. You have the copy in your system. If you can just open it, so we give it in that agenda. Let's continue.
Thank you, Chairperson. We are on slide number 2. I'm not sure if I'm audible. Yes. Which basically speaks to the the aim of this briefing to the Joint Standing Committee on Defense and Military Veterans, the concept of operations, which we coined CONOPS, for the deployment of the SNDF force elements in high-intensity anti-criminality operations, illegal mining and gangsterism, in cooperation with the SAPS. We wish to share with the committee the legal framework which guide and or authorize this type of deployment, which is inside the country when we are deploying in cooperation with the police. The deployment of the SNDF inside the country is authorized under Section 201, Sub 2, Sub Alpha of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa of 1996. In accordance with this provision, the SNDF is authorized by the President of the Republic for service in cooperation with the SAPS to prevent and combat crime and maintain and preserve law and order within the designated provinces of the Republic of South Africa. Furthermore, Section 19(3) Charlie, Roman 2 of the Defense Act also provides for the strategic guidelines for the deployment of the joint force structure elements in the designated provinces and the Republic of South Africa in combating gangsterism and illicit mining. Of importance here, members of the committee, is firstly the higher order in the Constitution, which regulate or approve this deployment, and then within the Defense Act, then Section 19, which then has got quite a lot of details which guide the soldiers now in terms of the actual execution. We are confirming here on bullet number 3, which is bold. We are saying it is regulated that the SNDF soldiers has to have roles of engagement when deployed in cooperation with the SAPS. I'm saying again, it is regulated that the SNDF soldiers has to have roles of engagement when deployed with the SAPS. Some years ago, previously, this was not in place, that the enforcement of the roles of engagement. It was dependent on the situation and or the commanders, how they say necessary. Over the time when there were some issues, then it was compelled that the SNDF will always have. We are confirming that with this deployment of Operation Prosper and others, I think in the past 3 years, if not 4 years, you will always find these roles of engagement. And when we ensure that it is applicable and or is adhered to, it gets submitted to the President to confirm that we are adhering to the rules of engagement. Furthermore, we're saying the SNDF also ensure that the soldiers ensure daily adherence to the code of conduct when deployed. That one is not regulated or enforced. It is our drills, and that we on a daily basis, that the soldiers must and will be reminded to adhere to the code of conduct when deployed. Because our code of conduct drill the soldier to know why we are soldiers and how we must handle ourselves, how we must handle the population, and how do we do our business. And to us, it's something very important. Furthermore, in terms of the situation. It's a very full narrative here, which when we are confirming where does this deployment coming from, the security situation related to illegal mining and gangsterism has worsened, resulting in a surge in criminal activities in Gauteng, Northwest Free State, and Eastern Cape and Western Cape provinces. This concerning trend has been further aggravated by a recent and noteworthy increase in violent criminal acts perpetrated by illegal mining and gangsterism across the 5 provinces. There's a mistake here, not 4, the 5 provinces. The reason maybe why there's this mistake in the initial planning and assessment guided by intelligence, the Free State province, it was 50-50 whether really it qualifies to be part of this deployment process. It's a small portion of the Free State that you'll find mining. But ultimately, with the final, we took the approach that it must be involved because the illegal miners, they are able to move around, get into other provinces. We are saying sequel to the SONA 2026, President Ramaphosa instructed the deployment of the SONA National Defence Force in cooperation with the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster to intervene in the dire situation. Subsequently, the net joints structure has been tasked with orchestrating an integrated multidisciplinary intelligence-driven operation affecting Western Cape, Free State, Gauteng, and Northwest. Maybe let me bring into confidence the members of the committee. The President, when he pronounced the decision to deploy the SNDF in support, in cooperation with the SAPS in Western Cape on the Thursday, and then the next day it was added the Eastern Cape. By the time we had been tasked to prepare to deploy for illegal mining with these issues that were prevalent in Northwest, Sporong and other areas. So we were at an advanced stage of deploying, still dealing with the administrative part of the deployment. And then this, thank you.
Apologies, members.
Yeah. It's on duplicate, okay.
Some computer don't like to work.
Yeah.
Port is in the wrong.
Nothing was changed here.
Excuse me, sir.
That's the only thing.
Okay, members, let's proceed. Gentlemen, we can proceed there. Let's proceed here now.
Okay.
Sorry about it.
Now I lost my. Okay, sorry. He missed mine now. No, he closed and then I must. Borderline Section Standing Committee. Date today is the 6th. Yeah, then it.
It's here.
Yeah, I know.
You know the name of your.
Yes. Just hold. Then I got it. Yeah. Where was I?
Are you willing to know?
Yes, I will. Check.
Page 5.
Yes. If I may continue, Chairperson and members, we are, again, it's just the narrative which led to this decision, and of the opinion maybe most of us are aware. Again, the issue of increased targeting of an incursion into operational mines by the illegal miners. Illegal miners are targeting abandoned farms to conduct illegal activities. Then the illegal miners, again, hostility towards law enforcement is increasing when addressing illegal activities. Individuals remove rock dams and refine gold extract without permits. When law and order operations are conducted in an affected area, illegal activities shift to other provinces or areas for the opportunity. Illegal immigrants who participate in these activities perpetuate the scourge of illegal mining and finance gangsterism. Criminals and gangsters are highly armed and displaying military tactics. That was the one that was concerning when then there was appreciation that we must deploy again for Operation Prosper illegal mining. We are all aware that I think we deployed for about 2.5 years, if not 3 years, just a year or two ago. Where the issue of armed, that the Zamazamas are now armed, displaying military tactics. Then there's gangsterism, murder, spread of drugs, and human displacement. Then the social cohesion is disintegrating due to extortion by criminals and gangsters. Slide number 6 is to confirm then when the president pronounced then the commencement of planning. Immediately on that Thursday, the next morning, we then tasked our members in the SNDF as well as the SAPS, both myself and Deputy National Commissioner, were the co-chairs of the net joints. We then initiated the planning. The first planning, the initial planning meeting of the SNDF together with the SAPS planners was on the 15th, which was a Saturday or Sunday. Follow-up meetings again on the 16th of February. All these meetings were handled or done either at the SAPS facility and or at the SNDF facility. Thereafter, when the planners were satisfied that they've done justice on the guidance that we had given them, then we had a final meeting on the 18th now of the senior officials of the SAPS as well as of the SNDF. the purpose of, if I may, of this deliberate planning was mainly to attend to some fears and possible misgiving from members of the public if the deployment of the SNDF and the SAPS will be done successfully, and it will have no trouble. From experience, we then had to guide, and the planners as well are seasoned planners who have been part of the deployments for many years. And we also wanted to address, I'm not speaking bad of the SAPS as they should have been here. In the SNDF, personally myself, I felt that over the years, they were how we should be conducting business, it was not up to standard. Mainly one of them, previously the SAPS will then deploy a member who is at the police station, who's part of the police station. When he knocks off, then the other one comes in. And then in that final planning, we impressed and came with a decision with a request and engagement and the acceptance and support by the SAPS that we said, can we do it the same that we used to do many years ago, 1994-5, where the police that are deploying with the SANDF will be part of us from the beginning. They will be deployed. Us deployment means sleeping out in the field, in the open area, in a tent, or in the abandoned school. So we said, yes, we cannot prescribe them to go that far. They are not the same as us, but they must be with us. There was a drill many years ago when a section is moving or a platoon is moving. We are not going to move if the police is not here with us, because then they've got their role to play. We do our part, they do their role. So we were very pertinent that we do it correct this time. And I would say together between us and the SAPS. Then slide number 7, we are just confirming the strategic guidelines out of those planning and well as discussions, where then it was to the commanders and officials and the rank and file. This guideline is to regulate the employment of the SNDF in cooperation with the SAPS in a manner that is lawful, proportionate, and constitutionally compliant. As we indicated, that is rules of engagement, which part of it comes from the rules of engagement. We are also guiding the commanders to ensure clarity of roles, command and control, accountability, and operational limitations during the authorized period of deployment. Again, this was guided by hearing that there are concerns from South Africans whether the issue of command and control, how is it going to be handled when the two elements are deployed and working together. So in these guidelines, us as the SNDF, I'll speak both of us and only us, as the SNDF, it has been there before I was born. The soldier will never be commanded by any other except a soldier, even if it's a lower rank. So in this one, we're just confirming and reminding that command and control systems that was developed many years ago must be adhered to. Command and control, each element command his or her own element. Particularly to us as the soldiers, the police does not command and control. They are part of us. They advise, they guide, but they do not command. Furthermore, the strategic guidelines also impress to the commanders to delineate the parameters within which force may be used by the force elements during the conduct of this operation. This one now, it is much more the responsibility of the SAPS in this guideline to, on a daily basis, on a regular basis, or during our measuring up drills, during mission readiness training, to impress on the soldiers, reminding them in terms of parameters in the use of force. Why? Because, again, some people in the country has misgiving if soldiers are able to deploy with the police and not, what's the correct word, go beyond what is legal and regulated and all necessary to our people. So the police also play a role in the strategic guidelines. Then this is a mission. If you allow me, I'll skip the mission, but it is the crux of the soldiers when they're deployed. What is the mission? Maybe I must go through it. The mission is for the SNDF must plan, orchestrate, and conduct robust intelligence-driven operations in cooperation with the SAPS and other government departments to combat acts of criminality, illegal mining, and gangsterism in Gauteng, Northwest, Free State, and Western Cape provinces over the period the 1st of March 2026 to the 31st of March 2027, and thereafter demobilize and return back to home bases. The mission confirms that the deployment is not perpetual. It's got an end date. The mission, who, what, where, when, and what thereafter. What thereafter is the demobilization and return back to base, except if then there's a further tasking. But the commander at all levels, they subscribe to. Again, it tells everyone and anyone who need to understand that there's planning, then we do orchestration, and then what type of deploying is different scenarios, different situations. Here, we are conducting robust intelligence-driven operations. And again, confirming in cooperation with the SAPS. And then we include other government departments, which the president did not speak to, but they are role players. If we are speaking about or we are deploying for illegal mining, then the other departments, the MER, should be and must be play their role. We give them protection, we give them situation, we do the spade work, then they must be able to. So we included other government departments. Maybe this committee can take from this mission to impress that the other departments who are relevant play their role, and not us as the security cluster deal with security, but the other underlying issues are not attended to during the time when we are stabilizing the situation. The mines left open again instead of being preferable, being closed. So chairperson and members, this mission, this is what we have decided, this is what we expect to be done, but there's a role. Us as the SAPS, we have done it. The other department, we hope with the previous deployments, it was the same. We said they must play their role as well. Then the intent, I think it will be a repetition, conduct targeted intelligence-driven operations. However, I must clear this part. It does not mean that we do not deploy when there's no intelligence. That's why now we do patrols, dominate the area. When you dominate, the criminals will lie low, will run away, and if we dominate the area in the evening, a sort of controlling movement at night will be part of that. But yes, intelligence is leading. That's why already they've identified which areas, and on a continuous basis, then they provide information. If the criminals are shifting from the positions that had been determined, intelligence will guide, and then will also then respond accordingly. The end state, again, is not perpetual. It will come to an end. The end state that we envisage is for a conducive environment for maintenance of law and order is created, for the SAPS to continue independently within a safe and secure environment for the RSA citizenry. I say again, the end state is a situation where it is conducive environment for maintenance of law and order is created for the SAPS to continue independently within a safe and secure environment for the people of South Africa. But for the SAPS, we are supporting them and together with them, but the intention is that there's a time when they'll be able to get back to normality, other than currently where the Zamazamas, they are overwhelming us as a security cluster, not necessarily only the police, us as the security cluster. So we are enablers during this deployment that it will scale down, and then the police will be able to handle. And the police will have to, and I do believe that they are going to make use of this opportunity. And now there are numbers to deal with the criminals with the support that we will provide. The objectives of this deployment, the strategic objectives, we speak to. Main objective is to defend and protect the country's strategic natural resources that are being damaged by illegal miners. Furthermore, one of the objectives is to dislodge the threat against the country's economic resources, as well as maintenance of law and order. The operational objectives now, when we are deploying, is to plan, orchestrate, and conduct targeted operations against criminals, gangsters, and illegal miners, not the people of South Africa. Also to deploy in support of the SAPS and other security structures, we are impressing on that one. Also to deny the criminals, gangsters, and illegal miners the freedom of action. That's what when we dominate the area. When you see on TV and you hear people will say the soldiers are just walking in the street and just, yes, visibility makes a difference to a criminal. Visibility, patrols makes a difference to the, and dominating the area, that they do not move as they wish. We have authority to ask a citizen of South Africa to say, sorry, where are you going? Can we assist you? That's now dominating the area, denying the criminals freedom of action. Here we are confirming slide number 12, the area of operations, which is Gauteng, Northwest, Free State, Western Cape, and Eastern Cape. However, I must take this opportunity to appraise the members of the committee. This was out of the appreciation. However, in the presidential authority, if I'm not mistaken, we requested that it also says across the country, a statement which says across the country. The reason being, criminals might migrate and move around. And then we, the presidential authority, must allow us to also move around and chase them and or handle them. So, but this is the one that we are faced with now, based on the situation. The concept of operation, I think it speaks the same, if we can be allowed the two, or maybe rather, let me not skip this one. The combating of illegal mining, gangsterism, and criminal activities in Gauteng, Northwest, Free State, and Western Cape provinces will be conducted under the doctrine of military operation other than war, which we call it Mutwa. These operations are aimed at disrupting, dislodging, and containing criminal activities through the deployment of a specially trained force ready to conduct rapid, agile, and highly mobile operations in cooperation with the SAPS. It is envisaged that the force will be trained to conduct internal operations. Therefore, the forces requires a well-balanced, combat-ready capabilities. Yes, our people, the South Africans, has some of them reservations and or concerned if the soldiers are ideal to deploy in urban areas, if I can use that word, or within the people other than being in the field. There is a doctrine of the SNDF that when you are at the lowest level, start there when you get taught military operation other than war, where, as the term says, the equipment that we use there is not for war. I think that this is simplistic. The assets that we utilize is not for war. So this is operations other than war. The concept of operation, I think this one can skip. Possible tasks that we envisage as part of the planning element, amongst others, is RISTA, targeted operations, foot and vehicle patrols, roadblocks and vehicle control points, cordon and search operations, raids, combating highly armed and coordinated gang violence, force protection and sustainment, confiscation of illegal mining equipment and sites, establishment of temporary operating bases. For the Zamazamas, we even have to deploy there in that mine. So these are the, we are confirming this because that's what will be seen when we are now doing coordinate search, when there are raids. When they're at hostels, when it needs to go in, then we do a raid, we go in. Coordinate search as well. Slide number 16 speaks to the stages of the operation. We have 3 stages. Stage 1, which is shaping the environment. Stage 2, the execution of the operation or the deployment. Stage 3, demobilization. Demob is then we hand over to the SAPS and then we withdraw back to home bases. Stage 1, with the shaping, I need to impress the committee members. What happens during what we call the shaping of the environment? There we start with the mobilization of force elements, including assets. A reason when some will ask, but why, how? The units are all over the country. And then when you have to deploy, then you must converge and look at which are applicable to this. Then they get brought together. If it's for the ground forces, it is the chief of the army. If it is for the Air Force, chief of the Air Force, and then also the maritime environment, they do that. It takes some time. And with the mobilization of the forces, then there's combat readiness training. Irrespective that this soldier is trained, has been a soldier for many years, he or her will have to undergo training again when we are going on deployment. Even if last month we were deployed and then we disengage, when we start again, combat readiness training, which then they are being refreshed. And thereafter, by the time, the final decision of how many force levels will have been determined at the planning level. I'm bringing this part where now the procurement of requirements, including rations and consumables, that's the only time that we are able to then do the procurement. I'll raise this to the members of the committee. It is not ideal, it is not right for us as soldiers. We've raised it many times when I was still at the lowest level, that it is not conducive for the soldiers to be handled the same with the PFMA. We are not saying we should not be regulated. We need a different regulation or regulated system which speaks to a soldier. When now there's emergency, you're still going to go and do procurement. And PFMA and the procurement, it is lengthy because it does avoid problems. We are part of that. And then when the person who succeeded to get the bid, it said everything is right, I'm ready, I'll be able to. Then a week after, short deliveries, not what was agreed upon. Then our soldiers and ourselves, I'm a soldier, I don't want to say soldier, we then suffer, now dependent on this supplier and this other suppliers. When he's tabling, he is in Limpopo, but he must, then he wins the bid to go and provide rations in Western Cape. And then we are in trouble. And that's why then we as soldiers suffer because of this system. We've raised it, and every chance I get, I raise it. We need a different or a relatively dispensation, which is not that we do not get regulated, but which is proper for the military or fit to the type of work that we do. Thereof, again, furthermore, with shaping, we then undergo mission readiness training, where this time we do joint mission readiness training at the forward operation base. Now they are now cleared into joint ops, and then they are out in the field or at the mobilization centers, together with the SAPS. The trainers during mission readiness are SNDF members as well as SAPS members, each one impressing and training all of us on the pertinent of each element. That's why now the police will guide us and tell us how do we handle ourselves when there's a crime scene. You do not do 1, 2, 3, and so the soldiers cannot say when I was not told and I was not trained. It is a particular training. With us as well, we impress what to the SAPS, what can be done and what can be done. As we do say, when then there's we are being shot at, we shoot to kill. That we do confirm and say with the SAPS. Then they come in and guide us, maybe if there's a way of turning it down, but it is not there as an example. So mission resistance is very much important. And then also mirroring up drills to ensure synergy. When we're going to go out in the evening, we form up all of us with the commanders of both instructions. People go out, mirroring up drills is continuously on a day by day, so that there's always be synergy. Then stage 2 is the execution. And stage 3, it is mobilization. Now, members of the committee, when I read the requirement or the tasking, it said wanted to be appraised on the progress, but not progress of where we are. We are saying currently we are in stage 1, which is shaping the environment, where we do mobilization of force elements, mobilization of the assets, combat readiness training, procurement of the required rations consumables, and the exception is the illegal mining deployment, because that part, as I indicated earlier, when the president pronounced, we were at an advance, they were already undergoing mission readiness training, and then they continued. That's why the province of Gauteng, the provincial commissioner, he said he is blessed because he's closer to Pretoria. That's what he used, that he was able to get the elements. And no, it was because it was that planning, and then which now migrated will be part of the one holistically of the 5. We do intend and wish that by the end of, not later by end of April, then we will be deploying. But with one caveat, intelligence is on the ground already. It's just these drills that need to be undertaken so that, again, we be safe, South Africans be safe, and the soldier cannot say, I did not know Angaz. We are training adequately such that we do not wish to have something wrong done by our soldiers together with the police. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, General. Honourable members, I think we have dealt. The General has presented the deployment, the preparedness for domestic deployment. We are going to take questions, and then from there we'll deal with the next presentation by the SNDF. So, honourable members, Okay, Honorable Harding, let me start with you.
Thank you, Chair. The heading of this is briefing to the Joint Standing Committee on the state of preparedness for deployment in cooperation with the SAPS. And yet we don't see a lot about the preparedness of the SANDF. It describes processes like mobilization, combat readiness, training, mission readiness, training without providing any measurable indicators of readiness. In fact, Chair, you will recall that I think we find ourselves almost in the same position where we found ourselves in the beginning of December, where we had to discuss the readiness of the continuation of or the change of the MONUSCO deployment, the rotation. Now, so we need facts. What proportion of the SANDF is designated for this deployment, and how many of them have already completed the CRT training, the MRT training? How are they rated in the MRT training? Did a joint training with the SAPS commenced? And does the SANDF now believe that those units that went on a training, CRT, MRT, are operational ready at this moment for their deployment? And that brings us also, and it was emphasized by General Sangweni, the control of the SAPS on what we are doing. So let's look at the joint training. Is there, what was done there? Obviously, there's no presidential deployment letter at this stage. And we already work on days from the 1st of March until the 31st of March of next year. So there's a lot of anticipation in this with not a lot of flesh. Let's look at a crucial thing, and this is cooperation and the command and control of this whole operation, because it's joint, but under the control of the SAPS. Where and when did the joint training take place? What was the success? Are we happy? Are we ready? They also in a state of a presentation on preparedness, one would normally expect information such which is absent here: force levels, equipment availability, logistics readiness. And we know nothing about this. How many SANDF members are at this stage being designated for this deployment? What are our vehicle availability and serviceability and reliability to be in sync with the force numbers that we are going to deploy? Then also, and General Sangweni emphasizes the importance of command and control. And I would like to know, and this is also a training aspect, a joint training aspect. We know that the SAPS works on its own networks, own radio communication system, and its own encryption systems, which is different from the SANDF. I would like to know this impacts severely on command and control and on readiness. And we know that in the past we had to, in joint operations, there was a reliance on cell phone communication between the SAPS and the SANDF. So we rely on an outside provider, and we know from evidence that we also see in the Longo Commission and the Ad hoc Committee that those communications are subject to being hacked and to be suppressed. So I would like to know about specific command and control and communication. How is it going to happen? Was this addressed in the joint exercises? There's other aspect that that is a bit of a concern. Let me just find the correct paragraph. I don't find it now, but there is, I think it's on in slide 7. There's a line that, and I know the SANDF are always ready and would like to do more than is expected. But this line, and specifically the absence of the words SAPS and in conjunction or under control in this presentation line that was presented to us by General Sangweni, the operational objectives to plan, orchestrate and conduct targeted operations against criminals, gangsters and illegal miners. This is very ambitious and it's way out of the mandate of the constitutional mandate of the SANDF due to the absence of the presence of the SAPS, which General Sangweni repeatedly said, but yet something else come out sublimely, which is a concern. So, Chair, we have this presentation, I think, how many pages? 17 or 15 or something like 17, but then it stopped. It didn't come to the issue that we are here to address today, the preparedness, the detail of the preparedness of the SANDF. Yes, they immediately embarked after SONA of the 13th, even on the Sunday. But where's the report on the preparedness? We know exactly what input here, what needs to be done. But how ready are we to do exactly what was put here? And this is absent. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Hardin. Honorable Nihas and Honorable Gotzel and Honorable Blakis. Honorable Nihas.
Thank you, Chair. And I thank the SNDF for this presentation. General, I think we all will agree that this is not an ideal situation where you are being sent into. I think in many ways we have to acknowledge that you are going into a hornet's nest. We in the economic freedom fighters, and I think the general trend also here in this committee is that we support this deployment by the President. The reason why we support it is because the SAPS has failed. It has failed operationally, and it has failed in terms of intelligence. But that failure places you as the SANDF in a very complicated place. So, for me, it is very important to understand what you share with us today. We see that the deployment starts from the 1st of March. So, technically, we're already in the process of deployment. But if I understand you correctly, you say you're still busy with the preparations. You started quite quickly, and that is commendable. And you are still busy with training. So, if I understand you correctly, you are not yet out there on the ground deployed. Am I correct about that? Or am I wrong? Obviously, there's a difference between the new deployments and where you have been deployed in terms of the illegal mining operations and the Zamazamas. We understand that there it's been a mission in progress. But what all of this must be predicated on is the establishment of watertight mechanisms for full SANDF and SAPS cooperation. So this planning that you say you're busy with, is it a fully integrated planning? Have you developed and are you presenting to us today, because it's a bit high level, can you tell us that there are robust protocols on how you are going to control and manage the deployment of the SANDF? Because past deployments have shown that success really depends entirely on the two services functioning in a seamless, combined manner, not as two loose parallel entities. Because it is clear, and General, I see you look up now, and I know why you're looking up, but I'll come to that, because I also understand that the SANDF has to operate within its own command structure, but there's this coordination with the SAPS. I'll come to that. Without this proper combined parallel work and there's risks of inadequate training for the civilian environment. There's risks of escalation of force. There are risks of operational friction and the endangerment of civilian lives. And if this cooperation is not properly done, all of those risks become eventually unacceptably high. So, when we talk about our core concerns, we must ask you, is the SANDF personnel trained, who are trained primarily for combat operations, now getting the necessary training and preparation to operate in these densely populated civilian settings, which involves bystanders, which involves children, communities, and many other social dynamics? You mention liaison and coordinating mechanisms, but at a high level. We do not get much detail. We do not get how you are going to deal with it at the ground level integration. For instance, we need to know how you're going to manage the arrest handover procedures, which is constitutionally required. We need standardized joint standard operating procedures to prevent later on legal disputes and delays. And while there is separate command chains, and this comes back to what I said to you earlier, and it is appropriate that there are separate command chains, these must be bridged by embedded liaison officers to guarantee a unity of effort. So this deployment will succeed only if the SANDF and SAPS operate as interdependent partners. So there must be effective utilization of an integrated joint planning right from the outset. And I hope this planning you're talking about means exactly that. There must be a shared doctrine and training that transcends basic interoperability. And there must be clear, enforceable protocols, which is understood by every member. And throughout all of this, there must be continuous joint oversight that identifies and corrects friction at real time. And I think we've seen that as an absolutely essential requirement during the deployment of COVID-19, where friction did arise, and sometimes there was not this continuous joint oversight that identified these problems in advance. Let me make a few quick other points. I'm worried about mission creep, both in terms of all the areas where we now talk about deploying the SANDF, and I understand why this happens, because exactly as I said at the beginning, because of the failure of SAPS. But what we are covered in this presentation by you is considerably broader than what the President announced in the SONA. So we need to look at how do we arrive at this much broader mission that there is now defined. I picked that up also on Wednesday in the presentation that was made by the South African Police Service to the Portfolio Committee on Police. Unfortunately, I was not able to ask questions there because of other commitments. What I'm also very worried about is the issue of intelligence. I said to you earlier, one of the big failures of the South African Police Service is lack of intelligence or contaminated intelligence. Why do I make that distinction? We've got contaminated intelligence in SAPS because of the infiltration of the gangs into SAPS. There are police officers that are directly integrated and working with the gangs. And I'm told that the information that are provided to the South African Police Service is in fact woefully inadequate and often misleading. Now, in that context, I also am told that when this announcement was made by the President that the SANDF is now going to be deployed in these areas, there were certain gang leaders who were celebrating. Why were they celebrating? They said, wow, we are now going to be able, when the SANDF members move into these areas and have to interface with us, to infiltrate them too. And we're not only going to be able to have done what we have already done, and that is to have taken over major operations of SAPS. We are now going to be able to take over some of the SANDF operations. What intelligence processes do you have in place? And what measures are you taking to avoid such an outcome, which is really too ghastly to contemplate? So those are the main questions that I wanted to ask. And I really want to understand from you, when are you moving out of this planning phase, which you say you're in now? And at which point now do you think, since the President's announcement already talks that the deployment is on from the 1st of March, which point will the SANDF in fact be capable in terms of this cooperation and integration of work between the SAPS and the SANDF, be able to hit the ground safely and be able to operate successfully? And lastly, Chair, what measures can we try to put in place also from your side? Obviously, that's not a decision that you take, it's an executive decision, to avoid this situation and this deployment, which is supposed to end in a year's time, becoming an indefinite deployment. I'm not sure you can answer that because it also relates to how the South African Police Service is being overhauled and how it gets its act together. But I'm sure from your side you will say to me that you would prefer it to be a limited mission in terms of time and that it shouldn't become a permanent situation and just rolled over from here to here. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Honourable Kwatson.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you very much also to General Songweni for the presentation. Chair, a lot has been traversed already, but if I could maybe just latch on to what the Honourable Niels has said. I was also in the joint meeting with the Police Portfolio Committee on Wednesday, General, and unfortunately I have a lot more questions and not many were answered in that meeting, and I certainly hope that you'd be able to do better on this front today. The planning and training phases, I think it would be very helpful if you could explain those phases. Because if you say that you are still in the planning phase, but you're also saying that you are training, we need to understand whether the training has been fully planned, whether that is ongoing, because training presupposes that you have planned. Because in order to train people for a deployment, surely they need to know what is being planned. So I think we need clarity on that. Those are two different concepts, and the one leads into the other one. But perhaps if there are phases that have been completed and that it's now being that they are now being trained on, then perhaps you can just clarify that. On slide 4, you refer to the illegal mining and gangsterism that has worsened, and you mention 5 provinces. Now, this is a moving target because after the SONA, Gauteng and the Western Cape was announced, and then Eastern Cape, etc. But then you said that the Free State, it was 50-50 whether it qualified. So my question to you is, what are the criteria for this qualification? What are the criteria to qualify for a SANDF deployment? And then I'd like to go further, and this is another question I asked on Wednesday twice and never got an answer to, so I really hope you can help me with this. What are the criteria to establish whether here in the Western Cape, on the Cape Flats, what constitutes a hotspot area? So how are you going to determine whether you're going to Manenberg, Heiderveld, Mitchell's Plain? Which areas? Or are you going everywhere? Just the criteria. You don't have to tell me where you're going. I understand that you might not be able to divulge all of that, but the criteria, I think that would be very important. A lot has been asked about command and control. You said that the police does not command. If I understand it correctly, the SANDF is trained to function in platoons of 7 to 12. Is there an operational plan? And how do you integrate the deployed forces then into police units? So what is that plan? Where is that plan? Who holds it? And are you able to share more details on it? I understand, of course, if you aren't. You said that the South African Police Services is to impress on soldiers the parameters of force. Now, that too, I think, could be a moving target, excuse the pun. But, I mean, what navigates this? What exact rules are there? And this brings me back to my original question about training and planning. Because we cannot have a repeat of what has happened here during COVID. And we need to understand, and again, I agree, it's commendable that you were able to deploy so quickly, but we are being told that the deployment started on 1 March. Now, I mean, perhaps you could also advise us of a timeline. When will we see boots on the ground? Where are we now in the training? Who's offering the training, etc.? Also, in the use of force, you said gangs and zamazamas are heavily armed. Now, those of us who live in the Western Cape, we see that every day. We see the huge amounts of firearms that are available to the gangs. So how does this, and that statement by yourself, shape or influence the change in your rules of engagement? And is there a joint SOP that has been signed off by both the SAPS and the SANDF? So, yeah, I've asked that question. Sorry, Chair, just a second. Yeah, I made further notes about the training. I mean, I don't want to belabor the point, but a timeline and the plan would be really helpful here. And then, Oh, you also, General, spoke about the PFMA, and you said something else is needed due to the nature of your operations. And again, this is something that we raised on Wednesday and got no answers to. But perhaps for the purposes of this meeting and for the SANDF, the funding for this operation. So when we get the letters of deployment, we haven't received this specific letter, where do these funds come from? And how will you, as the SANDF, account to this committee on how that or those funds are spent? And later on in today's agenda, we will be discussing with your department the deployment in the DRC and the monies that were made available to the SANDF for the payment of allowances. Now, months later, in fact, it's more than a year now, we still don't have any details. We've asked for details, then we get a flimsy presentation, then we...
Venture into that one, Honorable.
Well, I have to make the point, Chairperson. Yeah, but I have to make the point about this deployment, that at least, at the very least, this committee today must get an undertaking that it will at least receive quarterly accountability reports. Because we cannot sit in this same room a year from now and have the same debate on an agenda item that was supposed to be dealt with months ago. So that is why I'm belaboring the point.
Okay, thank you.
And that is then the end of my question.
Thank you, Honorable Council. Honorable Plugis? Not complete.
Chair, maybe I just want to make a comment first before I ask a few questions. I think as lawmakers, we must also get our house in order. Because ourselves know that this is a collaborated approach of a collaborated deployment. There's a meeting that we had on Wednesday. And today we have a meeting, and we have meetings with different responsible entities in the deployment. And what was presented Wednesday and what is presented today is not a collaborative approach to this deployment, General. I must say that. And I also see that your last meeting was on the 18th of February. We as lawmakers should have asked you to bring us a joint deployment report. What we are doing now, we bring you to us. Luckily, police did call all of the affected committees in the meeting, but your presentation is speaking far from one another on some matters, which means to say you haven't met before you come to approach us and say to us, here is what we are planning in our joint operation. And that is, to me, already a serious problem, Chair, in moving forward. Let me make a simple example, General. Police are saying that you will be under their command whilst you are deployed. No matter what rank will be in the area, you will be under their command. My issue then immediately comes, what is the ranking orders and the line function? If a general is in a vicinity where there's a sergeant of police, is the sergeant then the ultimate in that specific area? So those are things that you should have discussed in the joint operation center already before you bring it to us. We are asking about finance. Who is going to finance what where? We will ask that question here now. The SNDF will only be able to answer on what they are going to implement on their side. But there is joint things like, I think one of my colleagues have asked, what is going to be your communication system? Are you going to use the one of the army? Are you going to use the one? Because the army and the police, in general, they are not linked. the frequencies are different, which they are communicating on. How are you going to do it? So those are the things that I thought you will first deal with as SANDF and the SAPS, and bring a joint presentation to all the affected committees to say that here is what, because like the police are saying, they're already on the ground. SANDF is saying that we need joint training so that we understand one another before we go to the field. When are you going to have the training when SAPS is already on the field? As they are saying, we've been in the field for very long. You are saying also, General, that you are ready to go on a certain area, you are already prepared to go in, but now this thing have come up. So in a nutshell, some of your members were already ready. Ready to do what? Ready to go and do what on the ground? So to me, Chair, basically is that as much as we're anxious as the overseers and lawmakers on this matter, we should have given it a chance to say that go and sort out your house, the two of you meet, bring us a joint presentation and give us now the detail to say, here is the detail of this deployment, and this is how it's going to work. Well, where I'm sitting now, General, you are not really having a collaborative approach towards what must happen on the ground. You've put 5 provinces, SAPS, I think they were at 4. They didn't even talk about the Free State. They were still with the ones that they feel is the ones that is announced through the SONA by the President. So I'm saying, Honorable Chair, not wanting to bombast, I appreciate that you are ready. You are preparing, you are ready to go. But I think we should actually give you time to have the collaborated approach and bring us one set of reports so that we can move from there, Chair. That is my plea to the meeting.
Thank you, Honorable Plugis. Honorable Shekaran.
Thank you, Chair. I just would like to apologize for me leaving the meeting for a while. I just had to debate in the plenary, so I'm back again. But I did go through the report. Thank you very much, General. We appreciate it. I'm concerned. You know, I sit on the Police Portfolio Committee. They are vastly under-resourced. They are vastly under-capacitated. And while we welcome the SANDF's intervention, as my colleague, Mr. Plaatjes rightfully said, you know, there's no plan. And if you're going to function in silos, we're actually not going to have any outcome because there's no timelines given to us. There's no proper responsibilities. We don't actually know what is happening because the responsibility of the SANDF and the responsibility of the SAPS is fundamentally different. You don't have investigative capabilities. You cannot arrest people just. So, you know, we need to have a proper plan of what is going on. You say here that the SANDF soldiers will have rules of engagement. What are those rules of engagement? We need to know what they are. You know, we need to have clarity on what their role is going to be. They must adhere to the code of conduct. What mechanisms do you have in place to investigate misconduct should members of the SANDF violate this code of conduct during their domestic deployment? Who will investigate it? Is it going to be the SANDF? Is it going to be in conjunction with Unpaid? If the police and the SANDF are together and there's some violation, who's responsible? What is going to happen? And I have a real concern about the fact that we're focusing on certain provinces, and we thank you for that. And if it is at all possible, I know that you wouldn't like to make it common knowledge, but if we could just have a figure of the total number of SANDF members per province that will be deployed, it will help. But I have a real concern about the displacement of crime, because while we're focusing on 5 provinces, what is going to happen to the others? Because criminals are clever. I mean, they will just move their illegal activities to another area. So what do you have in place to ensure that these syndicates don't just simply move to other areas, but that we actually dismantle them? because it's not going to work if we have measures in place but we just move. And then crime intelligence in the police is seriously broken. And how will the SANDF deployment ensure that they have proper investigations with crime intelligence and have intelligence-led operations that are focused on specific areas and specific organized crime networks, because that is really a concern. And Chair, again, I say we welcome the SANDF's deployment, but this is a short-term relief to a long-term problem. And going in for 13 months, and I mean, today is the 6th of March, we still don't have any clarity on the rules of engagement, who's ultimately responsible. I mean, who, as my colleague also said, who ultimately is responsible for the command operations on the ground? Is it the SAPS? Is it the SANDF? Will the SANDF have members have the authority to detain and actually, will this deployment strengthen investigation outcomes, or will it hamper investigation outcomes? Because we don't really have clarity on who is going to be doing what. And then, I mean, the SANDF has a lot more members than the SAPS. So what will the ratio be if you do these operations, joint operations? What is the ratio going to be between police officers and SANDF officers that attend these areas? Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Shatney. Honorable Gerich? Okay,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, comrades. General Sangweni, you have a very heavy task all the time when you appear before this committee. You're always under fire. But I must say you're doing well under the circumstances to have brought this presentation to us and to give us a better understanding of the rollout of what is going to happen in future. I echo the sentiments of my colleague Carl Nias that the EFF is in full support of the deployment of the Army because of certain reasons. Now, Chairman, we are aware that there are many institutions and even political parties that are against the deployment of the SANDF for their own selfish reasons, which I won't reveal here today. And they try to make it as difficult as possible not for the SANDF to be deployed, because they want our communities and our police and even our army to look bad in the eyes of the communities. That's the politics to this. The other part of the politics and the reality is that our communities are under siege. And let me put it to you straight away. The white community is not under siege. They have the capabilities, they have the armament, they have everything, the logistics to their availability. But the non-white communities, the black communities, are under siege. That's the politics to this, General Halomisa. And we are in a crisis, in a severe crisis at the moment. Crime is escalating, that's the reality. It's out of hand. Children are being murdered, our women are being raped. And obviously, it's a matter of obvious that we've got to put a plan in place to combat the crime and to apprehend criminals. But when we say this, we cannot expose our National Defence Force to failure. We must assist you. As politicians, we must give you guidance to say A, B, and C. Now, it is clear. If you are a politician, you should understand the Constitution or the Constitution Act of South Africa. The Constitution is very clear in terms of Section 205. The police has its mandate, and the National Defence Force has its mandate. The police are the sole authority in this country to investigate crime, to apprehend, arrest, and all those other things that follow in terms of Section 205. The army has a different role. Here I understand that the executive is working out something to assist the communities so that crime can be combated in our communities. It's as clear as that. Now, you have given clarity on a lot of issues. You have said who will be in control. You have explained the role of the SAPS and of the SNDF. You have told us that who will arrest and who have the arresting powers and not so. So I'm very much clear on this. All I want to emphasize is that we must adhere to Section 205 because South Africa is a constitutional democracy. We are no longer a police state like before 94, when they just stop at you and they apprehend you and they detain you without a hearing and so on and so on. So we must adhere to Section 205. That's a critical issue that you must explain in your planning meeting or deliberate in your planning meeting. Number two, you mentioned a very important point. And yes, I've raised it before, that the procurement process is a lengthy, laborious process that you must depend upon in terms of the PFMA, because you cannot procure this because it hasn't been through a tender process and so on. You must go back and investigate how to deviate in terms of the PFMA. And I know there's a word that we used to use in local government that they also use environment, that you can deviate without process. You can navigate something. So it doesn't mean to say that you need to have a set type of rules in order to procure uniforms or boots or what have you. You can deviate in terms of that. So you must investigate that. Because if you don't do this, it's going to hold up the process. It means you cannot release your soldiers because they don't have boots and they don't have uniforms and so on and so on. We also understand that it's a work in progress. In other words, in all your meetings, we understand that new things will come up, where there's a meeting of the minds, where you put your minds together and say, all right, let's find a way forward in terms of this issue. We do understand this. Then, as chairman, the general has said that the soldiers are to be trained again, even if they come from an operation. I want you to elaborate on that a little bit, because what type of training are you going to give them if they come from war zones? Are you give them what type? I'm not a soldier. My father was a soldier, but I would love to know what type of training you're going to give them. Then. The other issue is, we've seen the stages of our operation, the possible tasks, the concept of operation, the area, all those things you've lined out to us. But to us in the EFF, the constitutionality of the mission is important. In other words, we must prevent that we have war zones in our communities, that we shoot to kill, as you said earlier on, you're using our slogan, shoot to kill. But the constitutionality is very important, that we don't go left, right, and center and just kill civilians, but that we have our targets. And I'm going to latch on to my colleague to ask you, what type of intelligence do you have at the moment, except relying on the intelligence of the police, which is very weak? The police doesn't have intelligence at the moment. This is why the gangsters are doing what they are doing. And this is why the Zamazamas are doing what they are doing. What type of intelligence do you employ? Will you wholly depend on the police in terms of their intelligence, or do you have your own intelligence structures to understand where the hotspots are? The hotspots are obviously where people are being murdered, where people are being assaulted, where people are being raped. Those are the type of hotspots. Then I also want to know, Chair, we see here it's very vague. We see Western Cape, we see Free State, we see Gauteng, and so on. But can you most probably outline to us? Western Cape is a province, for instance, and Gauteng is a province. Where do you anticipate to deploy your soldiers? Is it only going to be in the metros, or is it going to be further down? Let me make an example of the Western Cape. You have the metro here, crime is very rife here. But you also have a town 480 kilometers further from here, which is George, where it's becoming the secondary city for crime in this province. In fact, not only secondary, it is almost equivalent to the Cape Metro, where crime is very rife. So can you most probably outline, or is that information privy to yourself and to the SANDF? Last point I want to make is that the soldiers that you will employ, will you employ soldiers that are familiar with the provinces, or will you bring soldiers from other provinces into another province so that you prevent this type of bribery, familiarity, and so on and so on? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Honorable Hala and Honorable Noah.
Thanks, Chair. General, I, for one, I don't doubt your planning capabilities. But it's so unfortunate that the operation you are planning, you are not planning it as only SANDF. You are with SAPS. SAPS, yes. So my suggestion, honorable members, would be that let's allow the generals to go back and bring us an integrated plan with the police. Because if we keep on asking them, they will say no, but we are still going to meet with the police to finalize this. You did very well, if you still remember, in 1995 during Packard around here. And you left no stone unturned. So if you could, in your plans, go back to that plan as to how best can you improve on it in other areas. SNDF, the general has raised this issue of procurement, because really you can't be waiting for the FMA to approve the buying of cold meat for the soldiers. So SNDF, I would advise that you advise them on procurement processes, on how to deviate the processes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Hala. Honorable Noah.
Chair, thanks. Very briefly, I agree with the input by Honorable Plakis and Honorable Hala. Just to also maybe raise or highlight an issue which I think it's missing here. If you look at the slide 11, objectives, the very first two bullets, which 11, which give you some kind of a guarantee of what is going to happen. But if you go further down with the up to the end of the presentation, it then looks like where the last slide, no, 17. Well, let me first talk about 16. Yeah, 16, I'm talking from that one. And then stage 3, demobilization, the two bullets, hand over to SAPS, withdrawal back to home base. Now, I'm asking myself whether in that planning, are we accommodating that beyond next year, March, what then happens thereafter? If you take into account already the analysis that says SAPS has failed, they will be given a support for a year and then withdraw from the base. What then the plan says about post the deployment. The last one, Chair, it's slide 17. I feel just for asking for an understanding. On the stages of the operation, the last bullet, exception is the illegal mining deployment. I don't understand the exception on that slide. What does it refers to? Because then it's like now somehow it will be excluded, or it is only for a particular reason as per this slide. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honourable members. I think I will not repeat what members have said here, but welcome, General Chief of Staff and the senior officers who came late, and also Honourable Kubikeli. Welcome. My general is that you are going to a civilian environment where you will get some resistance in other communities. The issue is that how are you going to deal with that? I will not repeat all what members have said here, but the platform is yours. Let's deal with all the issues which members have raised. Thank you. General, I think through you, that the Deputy Minister, or Ms. I think.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just before the General reacts, I would like to hear from the accounting officer, as well as the Chief of Staff, who is the Deputy Chief of the Defence Force. Sangwen is a junior officer. In terms of state of readiness, where are we, especially financially? The President, when I spoke to him, as well as Minister of Finance, they said, yes, bring your requirements. Have you done that? Because that message was conveyed to yourselves. Lastly, General Sangweni, remember the basics or the principles of war. One of them is, they say speed is the essence. The President has already said, within a week, I want to see soldiers on the ground. Training, you should have specified for how long. Is it training or orientation? Because we have been assisting the police for all these years. It's not like we have taken recruits from somewhere. So we need a little bit of action from the senior level now. Can we get some clarity? Start with the budget first, Chief SANDF.
Thank you, members. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, DM. The Chief of Joint Operations has submitted a budget of about 823 million. 823 million. 830, but it's almost above 8 million. And 800 million. It is in the employment papers that has already been submitted to the Minister, and I have learned that the employment papers are now with the President. Now, the process is, as soon as the President signs the employment papers, then those will then be taken to National Treasury. But I must then say, members, in the meantime, this deployment, because it was announced later after all the budget processes have been exhausted, it is not funded for now. But as members would know, what normally happens is the department will have to use the available resources, and then sometimes then with the adjustment budget, then the National Treasury will give us money. However, having said that, Section 16 of the PMFA does allow the Minister of Finance to provide monies even outside the process for emergency purposes in the public interest, or to prevent harm to the public interest. So we will be requesting the Minister of Finance through our minister to use that section of the PFMA to make the money available soon. They did that with Optiba, so I don't see the reason why there could be resistance this time, because the Minister of Finance has invoked Section 16 of the PFMA to make monies available as soon as possible. I'm not going to divulge the strength of the boots on the ground, because that's not. I don't think we should be divulging that. I'm sure members will receive a notification from the president, which will then outline everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Secretary General, and all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Just to say that I think the areas that the DM wants us to emphasize on have been largely part of the questions which the honorable members have been asking. And I think from our side, as the military and as the SNDF, one would want to start off by saying that we appreciate so much this engagement, and that the SANDF will go and do the tasks as it is assigned to the SNDF. And what is very exciting this time than what is exciting is the fact that there is largely a lot of support for this operation to take place. That just by that support only, Chairperson, what happens is it makes the operation to be easier. Though people are supporting in terms of words, some will be supporting in terms of prayers as South Africans in a number of ways. But what this does, it makes the operation to be easier when we get into the operational area. Let me, in responding to the Deputy Minister, I will also be touching on the points that were raised by Honorable Heiting in the main, and Chief of Joint Operations can add on to that. It is the readiness of the SANDF, something which General Sangweni emphasized in the presentation, and he said it twice. He ended up by saying, when he depart out of this slide, he said that this is where now we are in terms of the preparation. Now, that preparation, that's stage one which he referred to, emphatic. If there's any stage that is important and critical in the deployment right now, it is that very stage. Now, and I'll tell you why. We need not take for granted that soldiers have deployed. I think, Honorable, you just touched on it now. It's not a matter of taking things for granted that soldiers have. The expectations around going into the communities where the people of South Africa live and what will happen, it's something that we need to make sure we cannot overlook any form of training. Now, I want to say to you, once we have the soldiers, it doesn't mean that some of the soldiers may have deployed in these communities twice. Some of them, because we're also producing MSDs every year. And you don't want to throw them there and taking for granted they've been fighting operations. In military doctrine, there's something that we respect so much, which is written there. A soldier that was involved in conventional operation, you don't take him to go and work in communities at that time without having reorientated him to be able to get into the community and start with military operations. It cannot be done in that way. So in this case, therefore, then, what I'm saying is that it is a stage we cannot overlook. And this is very important. We cannot overlook that stage. In terms of where are we, I think Honorable Ating touched on this as well. Where are we? General Sangweni says we are in that stage. Honorable Ating says, now, we wanted to see the preparedness of the soldiers, and you are not telling us the preparedness of the soldiers. The preparedness of the soldiers is declared when the soldiers march off to go into the operational area. But what we are sharing with you right now, we are sharing with you critical information as members of parliament to know what is it that we are doing for us to be able to find ourselves in those deployment areas where we are supposed to be. And this is very important. Hence, from where I sit, honorable members, I do appreciate this engagement so much. It is an engagement that is very critical. But I would want to appeal to honorable members to say, those stages we cannot overlook. And I can tell you and assure you of one thing. Where we have gone to make interventions, there will be some incidents. And I remember honorable members of this committee spoke to the military ombudsman, and they said to the military ombudsman, how ready are you after the president's pronouncement? That came from this committee. Now, this point says to us, we must be very prepared, and we must make sure that we communicate the right messages to the soldiers, and the soldiers need to get proper training in order to do this. So I then would want to summarize DM. The point that has been made is very important. To say, where are we? This is where we are. But and in order to get out of that stage, in order to get out of that one, I need to say, it will not take time. I will ask CJ Ops is going to just clarify you on that one. But that phase is the critical one before we deploy the soldiers into any other area. Then there's something, DM, I'm sorry, CJ Ops, there's something that I'm banning just to answer it. And I want to say, I think honorable members, Honorable Godsell, you refer to that subject matter. I would rather want to appeal to honorable members that in as much as it's not our intention to hide information to honorable members, but there are certain things that you have to leave them to the military and the SAPS. For these issues are more operational than anything else. Now, if you say, can you give me, we want to see that operational plan. You want us to give you the plan. That plan, not even a policeman that is there, because he's a policeman, can just grab that plan to see it. Not because this member is a member of the SNDF, can just grab this plan so that he can see it. No, that's not how it works. Now, the plan, usually when they are done, these plans, they are classified. From the military, such a plan, an operational plan, would be classified. So I cannot just share it. So what I'm saying is, as long as it's an operational plan, please allow us, support us. In fact, I should not say allow us, it's just support us, that we keep it at the level of planning. And that is how it is. These plans, at some point, they get declassified. Because as the operation continues, you have to communicate what you have in the plan to the soldiers. And the soldiers have got a certain level of classification, including the police. They've got a certain level of classification. Now, I'm just appealing, and I'm not saying we should not be giving you information, but that plan, I think Honorable Goles, Honorable Godsell was emphatic on this point. And so, Chair, we really want to move in unison with the committee in this way. The rest of the issues, if I may, I think I will leave them to Chief of Joint Operations, for I know he is very capable of responding to this, but I am also willing just to add here and there. There was something that I wanted to talk to regarding what the honorable member from the NCOP was raising. Sorry, my apology, ma'am. My apology, ma'am, and I know you will forgive me very quickly. Yeah, I think this one, General Sangweni himself would have noted it. You know, there is something that we have learned in the military. It's called the balloon effect. I think the balloon effect is not just a word that is said and mentioned within the military quarters. We have learned this word in the maritime space. So when you deal with pirates, it has got a balloon effect. You deploy here, it will move and go somewhere. That is what you were saying. One thing that was said here by General Sangweni in the presentation is actually written down. And he was emphatic on that. And that point was to say across the country. If you would have noted how these days we draft our employment, our papers for deployment. We make sure, because what if, as we start executing this operation, and the challenge starts in Limpopo or starts in Mpumalanga, you must go back and start again to ask for employment papers. We avoid that. So it is a point which I thought that I've got to really have a say onto it. Otherwise, the rest of the issues, Chairperson, I would leave them with Chief of Joint Operations. And I may come in if CJ Ops wants me to come in. DM, I am done, sir.
Thank you very much, Chair and honorable members. I would suggest that we deal with the issue which was raised by the honorable MPs to the effect that this presentation of ours is in contradiction with those of the police. The best way to do so is to go back, and the next sitting we have it as a joint sitting. Summarize the salient points of that particular plan without getting into details. I think that will be in order rather than try and, because already there are certain areas where the generals are unable to confirm what the police have been saying in another portfolio committee. So I would suggest that we go back, but when we come back again, at least the Commissioner of Police, Chief of Defense, or the Chief of Staff, they come and be present. By that time, we should be having a date, at least more or less. When are we getting in there? And then also the letter from the presidency to Parliament to say, I'm deploying soldiers. I heard you that you have not received that. So let's move that way if you accept it.
Thank you, TM. I think it's very important, honourable members. SDM is indicated here, and as well, the TM has requested to be excused at 12, and I would have preferred that before we excuse him, we deal with that point number 6, the briefing of outstanding payments and deployments allowance due to SNDF. Honourable members, I think we agree that members have already proposed here, and the DME was just closing up that let's leave it so that we have a collaborative a plan by the SNDF and the SAPS. Honourable Hadi, do you want to say something about that? Do you want to speak about the same thing?
Honourable Chair, I've asked some pertinent questions on this presentation with the focus on the preparedness of the SANDF. I cannot see that we now can move on. We cannot simply live with the assurance of General Ramaswano that the day that the SANDF is being deployed, they will be ready. We've got no detail. We don't know about preparedness, equipment, medical support, logistical support, communications, nothing. And according to the presentation on slide 8, the planning was done for the period 1st of March 2026 until 31st of March 2027. In fact, if that presidential letter comes now, it means that we can have boots on the ground in our gangster areas at Zama Zama sites on Sunday. And now we must believe that the SANDF is ready, prepared, and has done everything. This is not what this presentation is all about. We needed to get the assurance. Just say, we are ready. And then we can hold the SANDF accountable. But we know nothing about the preparedness of the SANDF, also the readiness of the SANDF to cooperate in a command and control situation with the SAPS on the ground. So I cannot see that we simply move on unless it's your intention, Chairperson, for us, after the departure of the DM, to come back to this item.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll park what Mr. Hutton said because I think there is a real concern that he's raising. But with regards to what the Chief of Staff suggested, I just want to emphasize when we get that joint presentation, and it is a joint one that we're talking about, I think for me the crux of the issue is, what does interdependency mean? And we need to have an understanding of who carries what ultimate responsibility in which context. If those questions can be answered, a lot of the problems that we had with previous deployments can be addressed. So please, when we get that joint presentation, this issue of responsibility, line of command, interdependence need to be addressed, because some of my colleagues referred to the difference between the presentation that we received from the South African Police Service and that we received here today. And the critical part of that difference is exactly on this area. And therein lies the potential of conflict in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Nihas. Honourable Plugis and Honourable Shegling. And yeah, I'll come to you.
Chair, I know that members have asked questions in this meeting, and expectation will be that they get answers on that questions. But I will want to make a progressive proposal, Chair, that we send the delegation of defense to meet with the delegation of SAPS and maybe our offices, your office, Cameron's office, to organize a joint meeting in the next coming week so that we get a proper operational plan as to what, not a deep, it can be a high level also plan, but so that we understand the collaboration that you are talking about is going to happen. Because my problem here now is we ask separate questions for one operation. Because SAPS is doing something different, you are doing something different. It will help us if you can combine it, bring us one, with much of the things that we've raised here in mind when you come back to the next meeting. That will be a proposal that I will make, Chair, in the light for moving forward.
Thank you, Honourable Plugis. Honourable
Physical meeting, Chair, not virtual.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry.
No problem.
I was saying, Chair, the meeting to be physical, not on virtual.
Proceed, Honourable Shegling.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, with all due respect to the General, I mean, I think we all understand that the information is a lot of it is classified. And I'm not saying you must give us classified information. But honestly, if I walk out here today, I have no idea what's really going on. And I think my colleagues are going to feel the same way. Because we really have no idea what you've actually planned. There's no clear timeframes. There's no deliverables. There's no clear plan. It's just like there's no contingency plan. You spoke about the balloon effect. What is your contingency plan? So, you know, I don't really know where we're going. You've just, I've just read an article that General Mtumbeni, who is the provincial commissioner in Gauteng, says that the SANDF has been there since the 18th of February and it has actually yielded results. So I don't know, because that's not clear to me. I mean, he's just put out a statement. How are we measuring that there's results? What are we measuring it against? Where is the criteria? How can he put out a statement? You haven't told us that you deployed on the 18th of February. In actual fact, you haven't given us any dates of when you deployed. So I don't know. It's just like there's a massive disjoint here between what is going on. I think regular joint sittings between the police and the SANDF is vitally important, and I think it is something that must be discussed as a matter of urgency. And I think although I come back and say, you don't have to give us the classified information, but goodness, give us something to work with. You're not giving us anything. You're not giving us any clear direction on anything. So can we please just have some form of plan? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Shadling. Honourable Gozel and Honourable Kharif. Honourable Gozel.
Chair, yes, I mean, I must support what my colleague is saying here. You know, just as an example, I asked a simple question. Planning, training. Simple question. It hasn't been answered in the police meeting. It was not answered today. Yes, we spoke about operational plans. And I did put in the rider to say that I know some of it is classified. But then I get a sarcastic answer and a smirk. We are walking out of this meeting, the second meeting this week today. We don't know what happened on the 1st of March. This presentation, Wednesday's presentation, it speaks of a deployment that started on the 1st of March. Where? The other question I asked was about the criteria. We read of the deployment successes in Gauteng. We also know that you've now gone to the Free State. But where? Where is the information? Where are the letters? And again, why are we here then today? All these people that come here today, for what? We need answers. So at least give us that today. Training. Has it taken place? Is it taking place? At the beginning of the police presentation on Wednesday, at the beginning, it said training had taken place. Now, training of the SANDF in order to collaborate with the police and to know how they must support the police is vital in an exercise such as this. So dates, where are they? Where are they being trained? Are they here in the Western Cape? Where are these deployments? If it started on the 1st of March, we need some information. So I really want to ask that of course, we'll have to have another joint session, and it has to be in person. I agree with Honourable Hala. But we're not leaving here today without any information or sarcastic remarks. We want tangible things. We want to know what is happening. What's happened since the 1st of March, at least.
Thank you, Honourable Gozel. Honourable Kharif.
Yeah, Chairperson, just to say, this matter is urgent and this matter is critical. And let me confirm, in alignment with my colleagues, there are blur areas that we do not understand. So we would propose that we meet ASAP. We cannot wait another 10 days or 2 weeks. This matter is too urgent. The announcement has been made by the President. And the expectation was that boots will be on the ground by the 1st of March. Now, the General Amisa has made a progressive proposal speaking to his staff members saying that they must bring the plans. He has also spoken to the finances, but then also the rollout. But vitally important is the fact that the police must be present. Because otherwise we're talking here and there, and we have our own perceptions on how things will be. I would then ask that we give them an opportunity to go and consolidate their position and then come back to this committee. Because the questions here today were critical questions, General. And you could hear the urgency and the seriousness of the colleagues and of ourselves. So things cannot hang in the air. You've got to account to this committee. Politically, financially, doesn't matter. Yes, I don't know. It's for the chairperson to decide or for the committee to decide which date. But even if we meet over the weekend or some weekend, it's got to happen. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you. Honourable members, let's do this. I think we all agree that there must be a collaborative plan of action. What we'll do, we'll give the Deputy Minister to speak about the matter, and then we close it. We close it. We don't give the general a platform, to speak. Then, as we say, we'll need a collaborative plan from both the SNDF and the police. So, Deputy Minister, let me give you a platform to speak about this matter. Thank you very much.
Chairperson and honorable members, we are going to take this matter up with the Department of Police at executive level and convey this message this afternoon to the Minister of Police as well as to our minister who is in Brazil. But the officials and the committee secretariat can agree on what date. But we will summarize to the ministers as to what were the points raised by the members of parliament. But of interest to them is that we need to produce a common plan which is understood by both the military as well as SAPS. That's the bottom line. So that's what we are going to do this afternoon. And then the copy of that letter, we will give it to the secretary this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, DM. Members, let's close this matter in that way, in that order. We are going to move to the next point before the Deputy Minister leaves. The presentation on the outstanding payments and deployment allowances due to SADF members. DM, I don't know who's going to present on this matter.
Do we have HR here?
Honorable Nihas.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I've got a serious concern with at least the presentation that we have received. Because as far as I can see, that presentation doesn't contain any more information from the one that we rejected in the previous meeting. So I don't understand what the worth will be for us to get this presentation, except if the intention is today here to provide us with the necessary information that we have requested in addition to the presentation, and then anyhow I will have a problem that we haven't received it in advance. We requested a detailed breakdown on what has actually happened in terms of outstanding payments, deployment allowances, etc. It's not here. Chair, as far as I'm concerned, this second presentation is an insult to us. I consider it, to put it straightforward to you, that you're giving us the middle finger. We told you we are not happy with the presentation you've given us. We refused to receive that presentation. Remember, we spent time discussing it in the previous meeting. You left that meeting with a clear understanding that this is not what this committee wants. You send us the same thing, actually even less. So if that's your intention, we can't receive this presentation. But beyond that, Chair, the time has now come that the necessary consequence management have to be introduced. Because if we are going to be treated like this, we as a committee must say that we are being disregarded, that we do not get our instructions and requests implemented, and that there must be consequences for those in the SANDF who fail to respond to us, because must we go out from the assumption that you say to us, stuff you, we are not going to give you the information, regardless of what you say, and regardless of the fact that you sent us back to come back with a new presentation. So before we start the presentation, can we please get an answer from the SANDF? Are you telling us, stuff you, go to hell, we will not give you the information? And if that is your attitude, then let us deal with that before we look about any presentation. But honestly, the presentation itself, as we have it now, is nothing new from the last one, and we can't have it until we get that answer. Are you interested in responding to us in terms of the information that we've requested, yes or no?
Thank you, Honourable.
Chairperson, can we ask the department to respond to this before we discuss it, please? What is contained in this report?
Let's proceed there.
Chairperson, can I confirm that I am to respond to the question that's being asked? Okay. Chairperson, maybe but I need to start by saying the following, Honourable Member. There's no intention to disrespect the committee. None whatsoever. It is not there. But what I need to say is that I think Honourable Niaus, you are right. The issue was raised by, was it Honourable Godser? I hope I'm not quoting you wrong now.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct.
Honourable Godser. Honourable Godser raised the issue, and we understood the requirement. But can I request that we look at the agenda point that was given to us on that subject matter? And I want to say, you know, what happens with the agenda point, the agenda, when it is given to us, we work on what is given to us on the agenda, because I can give you plenty of examples where we've discussed with the committee, and in the next sitting, when you are working on this or you get an amendment into certain things, so what we do, we follow the agenda point that is given to us at that point. So can I, if I'm just saying, we are ready, Chairperson, you want us to give you that information, and which was so much stressed by the honorable members. We are going to work on it, and if you say to us, by that time it must be given, I know the committee does this, we are willing to do that. But I need to say that, honorable members, please, I request this. We are in no way disrespecting the committee, and this, for me, it's a subject that I don't know, I just wish we can erase it. But in so saying, Chair, we understand the cry, and we are going to be working on that. Actually, when we had already started working on it, it's just that we got the agenda and we said, let's prepare it this way. And what we have, then it's simple. We have had many times when the subject change, we also change and rework on the presentation. So we are saying, therefore, that thank you so much, Chairperson, on that. And we are willing. It will be done. It will be provided to yourselves.
Thank you, Chief of Staff. Wait a minute, Honorable. Honorable Cotton, you want to say something about it?
Yes, I do. Chairperson, I am astounded by this assertion. I could not have been clearer in the previous meeting as to what is expected. And I have looked at the minutes, and I've looked at PMG, and I found a lovely Netwerk 24 article. Unfortunately, I couldn't find an English one, which says, Verdediging loop 'n blaukie oor DRK toelaas vir soldate. Now, and then in that article, it specifically says here that you as the chairperson had given the department 7 days to come back with a proper breakdown of how those monies were spent. I don't know how much clearer we have to be. So I don't know where the disjuncture is. I don't know who was on the meeting, who wasn't on the meeting. I see now that day the minister was on the meeting. Today she's now not here again. It couldn't have been any clearer. We've also been asking for this for a very long time. So, Chairperson, at some stage, I know now, this is now the third time today where this committee, I won't use the word disrespected because according to the department, they don't feel that they are disrespecting us. But we feel disrespected. We have convened this meeting today, a long meeting. I'm from the Western Cape, but my other colleagues, they are not. They specifically did not travel back to their provinces today because they were here on a full day to interrogate this information which we've been waiting for. And now we're just told, we're not disrespecting you. Well, I would like to submit that it is disrespectful.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable Pluggies.
Chair, I would want to make a proposal because the going back and forth is not going to assist.
Can you speak on the mic, Honorable?
Chair,
I'm saying, can you just pull the mic a bit?
the back and forth for this meeting is not going to help us. I think what Honorable Kotzel is saying is, as much as General, you intend not to disrespect, but there was clear instruction in the meeting that we're in at the last time, Chair. Because this presentation was there, we then say we need a proper breakdown of this, what is here already. We just want it to be properly breakdown. But I will accept that, but we are not going to go anywhere, Chair, even if we have debates fought and so what we should actually deal with is, can we now give them the right brief on what we want, the right breakdown on what we want, so that we don't have any excuses when we come back in the next meeting, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pluggies. On members, I think it's very clear. It's very clear, SANDF, the Chief of Staff, that members are not happy with what is contained here. And according to the engagement, there was a request for breakdown. This matter, General, was raised with us in last year in Toyando when we met soldiers who were coming from the deployment. And the matter was immediately raised with you. We requested a breakdown on what happened, whether those soldiers were paid or not. So I don't know. Do you still want to speak about this matter, Honorable? Okay. He doesn't want to speak about it. So, no, yes, yeah, I'm targeting you because So, yeah, so honorable members, it's very clear that you want more. Can you be orderly, please? Yeah, you want more on these issues, and we will take the matter back to the department to say you are here, you hear what members are saying, General, SACDF, and the Chief of Staff. Can we do as we expected by these honorable members? You can see, members are not happy. So without much ado, I want to close on this matter, Honorable.
What I want to suggest, because I'm sorry, but the General has been disingenuous about how he interpreted this agenda item. He knew exactly what we requested. He knew very well because he could remember exactly who even made the particular presentation. So it's disingenuous to say, oh, well, we looked at the exact wording of what you put on the agenda, and therefore we did that, and we didn't do what we knew we were supposed to have done. So before we leave this meeting, we ask our secretarial staff to formulate the exact formulation of what we want. We table it in this meeting, we pass a resolution, this is what we want, and we give it to them, because if we don't, they misuse the situation, misinterpret what is said in the agenda for their own purposes, and therefore do not meet our requirements. They knew, and I want to put it on the record here, Chair, unequivocally, they knew exactly what we needed. We formulated it. They knew why this issue was on the agenda, and they deliberately didn't answer. So let's remove the possibility of those games and disingenuity being played on us again. By formulating a clear request tabled here, we pass a resolution, we give it to them, because now we have to spoon feed. Unfortunately, we have to spoon feed. And then we will get the response ASAP.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members and the officials, I think you have clearly had the members are not quite happy with what you are about to present. So we are going to close this matter, and then we will formulate those presentation as expected. We, the SACDF and the Chief of Staff, we have heard about the emerging trends of criminality across the provinces where the SNDF will be deployed. We heard about your planning for deployment. We heard about the strategic guidelines to commanders and to the rank and files of the SNDF. And as we spoke earlier, we will meet with you again once again to get to the details as members have proposed here, and we'll leave this matter in that order, and we will I think our secretariat here and the joint secretariat will communicate with your office and see how do we have a joint a committee meeting where you'll come and brief the members in terms of your deployment of our soldiers. We'll leave it in that way, and then we, Secretary for Defense and the Chief of Staff and the General and the senior officials, we thank you very much. We'll release you as we will be going in another part of our meeting, and thank you very much. Members, let's have just a 5 minutes break. Okay, thanks. We knew